Okay. All right, guys. Happy Monday. So today is September 9th, 2019, and tonight we're going to talk about recruiting to coaching and why it's so important for your business. And I kind of want to start off. I actually, Shauna and I were talking last week when we were on the call and trying to kind of brainstorm and come up with different topics that we could talk about that were different and unique and that we felt like could offer a lot of value to your guys' lives and to your business. And I just had happened to watch a video by a top coach. Her name is Holly Hillier, Hillyer. She's been one of the top coaches for the past 3 years. Super sweet girl. She just had her second child, is killing it in this business and has every reason basically not to. But she's been super successful, and she did this amazing call in Team Elevate's page and Ashley Feldyson's team page about the art of recruiting to coaching. And I love the topic, and I loved her points that she made. And so my goal tonight is to hopefully relay to you guys a lot of the key things that I took away from that call and reiterate some of that, and hopefully give you guys some tips on recruiting to coaching. So that being said, if there are topics at any point that you guys would like us to talk about, or that you have questions on, or that you feel like you need clarified, please make sure you let us know so that we can touch on it. Next week, Ray is going to be covering Instagram, like all things Instagram, and how to, really use stories in your posts to tell your story, but more importantly, like visually, how to maximize Instagram and its potential. So how to kind of make your stories look clean and concise and visually, appealing to your audience as well as your posts. So she's going to be touching on that next Monday. Okay, so let's just real quick touch on why recruiting to coaching is so important, because a lot of us that are on this call started in this business as a challenger, and a lot of us never really probably thought that we were going to dabble with the idea of coaching or having a team, right? And there's probably a lot of you that are on this call that are newer to this whole opportunity that are like, I can't build a team of coaches. Like, I don't even know how I would do that. And so tonight, my goal is to really get you guys to see the benefits of recruiting to coaching and building a team versus just having challengers. So I always say that, there's two avenues that you can take to be successful in this business. And ideally, you would go down both paths. So the first is obviously, to be hitting Success Club, meaning you're recruiting new people to help and to have as challengers every single month. That's kind of avenue number one. And I think that's where a lot of us are. And I think that's where a lot of new coaches fall into. The second avenue is building a team of coaches that are doing that with you. And so that is kind of something that happens a little bit later in most people's businesses, where a lot of people tend to think like, I can't go down that avenue because I don't have the tools, or I don't have the resources, or I don't know, I'm still learning how to coach myself. And what typically happens in this business, and why so many people start coaching and then they get burnt out, is because they go down just this avenue of having challengers. And you tend to, in that position, you're working basically for commission. And I'm speaking from experience when I say this, it's exhausting. So you are spending all of your time and all of your efforts trying to recruit new people. And then within those new people, you're trying to get them to be successful challengers, to have good transformations, to then hopefully spark interest for more people to join. And so your paycheck, when you look at it, right? Those of you, if you haven't yet gone into your coach office and looked at earnings and commissions and actually looked at the breakdown of how you get paid in this business, I encourage you to do that so that you can see there's so many different ways that you can make money in this business. Where a lot of you are probably making your money, where you're seeing that come from your paycheck, is in your earnings and commissions. Meaning if you sell a challenge pack, you made money that week. If you didn't sell a challenge pack, you didn't make squat. It gets really, really tiresome and exhausting because you're constantly working for commission. The benefits to recruiting the coaching, there's obviously plenty of benefits, but if you're looking at it from a financial aspect, you are then creating residual income. So let's say you go, on vacation, right? Like I went to Vermont for a week and I didn't recruit that week. I didn't recruit any new challengers and I didn't make anything in commission. Let's just say hypothetically speaking. Okay. But next Thursday, the following Thursday, I'm home, I'm settled back into my normal routine. I'm working my business again. But that whole week prior, I didn't do squat for my business because I was on vacation. That Thursday, I checked my bank account and I'm like, oh, look, I still had a great paycheck from Beachbody. That's residual income. That means that I still was paid money through Beachbody for my team's efforts. And that's where I feel like in this business, people start excelling, because it's really easy to put in, like, to be sending all these messages and getting all these no's, and you get like one challenger that week and you make like $40, right? And you're sitting looking at your paycheck on that Thursday and you're like, what the hell? Like I busted my butt for that $40 and that's all I got. So it's easy to feel that way. But when you start building a team and you start recruiting people to join you as a coach, what they're doing and what their efforts are, you get to benefit from. Very different from a pyramid scheme, because if you're sitting there still doing absolutely nothing, right, you have to have equal, or not equal, but a balance of your legs to cycle. And we can get into all that. I don't want to get too much into the details, but you still have to be doing something. But residual volume and residual income. Ashley Feldyson is a great example of this. Last week, her paycheck was almost $8,000. No joke. I'm in her team page and she shared, and I don't know if you guys are in the Team Boom page. If you're not, make sure you have your coach add you. But Pat Reelman, way up at the top of Team Boom, did this post where he was like, hey, happy Thursday, happy payday. Hey, mom, congrats on your $4,000 team bonus. Team bonus means that she was paid $4,000 on Thursday for what her team beneath her did. Okay. She didn't make think of how many challenge packs, let's do the math, that you would have to sell to make $4,000 at $40 a challenge pack. Okay. That's how hard you would have to work and how many people you would have to recruit as a new challenger to make what she made from what her team was doing beneath her. Ashley Feldyson, her team bonus last week was $5,600. So for what her team did, the team that she worked hard to build by recruiting to coaching, she was paid $5,600. Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success or income, full disclosure. But so tonight we're going to talk about why you need to recruit to coaching, because the people that don't recruit to coaching, that don't build a team, get burnt out in this business, and 9 times out of 10 will quit and they'll give up, because they're going to be like, I knew it was a scam. I knew I couldn't make money. So that's just looking at it from the financial perspective, why you should recruit to coaching. Obviously there's a million and one other reasons, like the community, right? Like, what is it that matters to you? Is it the money or is it the community? Do you want to be that girl that goes to Summit and gets a team picture of her team and there's like 300 girls all in Team Infinity shirts or Team Enough shirts? Is that what matters to you? So you have to figure out like what your why is and what your goals are in this business, because I guarantee you there's a reason for recruiting to coaching for those whys. Okay. But tonight I'm going to focus a little bit on just recruiting to coaching as a whole. So Holly kind of talked about talking about coaching, right? And I think a lot of us are at the point where we're like, we don't know what to say. We don't know what to talk about. Like, I know I've had conversations with some of my newer girls that are like, I just started coaching. Like my paycheck, okay, I made $40 or I made $80 or whatever that looks like. But I don't feel like I can talk on my posts or in my stories about coaching because I'm not making $1 million. That's the number one thing that people are going to say to you, and that most of you are saying to me or to your coach, very likely. So Holly talked about how she had a very similar mindset. She didn't really have a ton of belief in this business. Like she doubted a lot of it. She was very skeptical. And ironically, 3 years ago, Holly messaged Shauna and said, hey, Shauna, do you have any advice for me? I'm just starting off as a coach and I want some advice and some tips on how I can be successful. So that was 3 years ago. She messaged Shauna and said, hey, I need help and I need tips. And now here she sits. She was top 10 the last like 2.5, I don't know, 3 years. Elite coach, you know, I think she's at 10, or no, sorry, she's a superstar diamond, meaning she has 15 diamonds beneath her, or did to qualify. So anyways, long story short, she was only really doing like a sneak peek once a month. So she would do like one sneak peek a month. And then she found that it was really just like the week before the sneak peek that she talked about coaching. Otherwise, the other 3 weeks out of 4, she didn't talk about coaching. She didn't try to recruit to coaching. She didn't post about it. She didn't story about it. And then she kind of talks about how, you know, her first couple of coaches and pretty much all of her first coaches came from challengers. It wasn't anybody that just like she started recruiting, you know, that, hey, I think you would be a great coach. This is what this opportunity could do for you. It was like, okay, I had a challenger. The challenger had success within the programs, fell in love with the products, became a coach for the discount, decided to work the business. Okay. It never went any other way but that. And so it came down to the point where she was pushing really, really hard. She had qualified for Premier. Those of you that don't know what that means that she had kind of achieved certain qualifications within her business to be a Premier coach. And one of those is to be 2-star diamond, meaning you have 2 diamonds beneath you within your business center. And then she decided Premier wasn't going to be good enough. And she decided she wanted to shoot for elite. Up until this point, most of her successful coaches and her diamonds were warm network people. And she talks about how there wasn't really anybody that were, you know, diamonds underneath her at that point that was somebody that she found randomly on Instagram that she just kind of inspired to do this. It was like, hey, I knew a friend that I thought could be good at this. The friend saw me kind of being successful and the friend decided to join to help me out. So it was still very much within her warm network. She hadn't really stepped outside because, again, she wasn't talking about coaching. So comes down to when she's shooting for 5-star diamond, meaning she has to have 5 diamonds beneath her to qualify for elite. If you're 2-star or below, or I'm sorry, 2-star to 4-star, you're a Premier coach. 5-star and above, you're considered an elite coach plus other qualifications. She decided Premier wasn't going to be good enough for her. So she set out for elite, and she had 4 diamonds underneath her and then 1 account that had to get to diamond, which was her husband's account. She had 10 days in order for her to be able to get his account to diamond to hit that 5-star qualification. In those 10 days, she took her husband's account that had not a single coach underneath her and built it to diamonds. Those of you that don't know what diamond means, it's you have an emerald coach on each leg plus 3 personally sponsored active coaches. So you have 4 coaches on each leg, 1 of which is an emerald and 3 of which are active coaches that you personally sponsor, that you place there. So she had to go get 8 people. She had to get 8 people to be coaches, 2 of whom had to be somewhat working the business because they needed to be emerald in 10 days. It's hard. It's doable, but it's hard. And so she talks about how that is what changed her entire mindset in this business. It was kind of the point at which she realized that massive action leads to massive results. So, you know, in those 10 days, she talks about how she sent thousands and thousands of invites. She talked about coaching all day, every single day. And she did it. She got her husband's account to diamond in 10 days. She hit 5-star qual and she held it, and she achieved elite status. And she talks about it saying, I kind of sat back and realized, like, this business is endless opportunity for me. Like, I sold myself short. I took massive action. And when I took massive action, it led to massive results. And she was like, that just motivated me. Like, wait a minute. In 10 days, I just got my husband's account to diamond. I recruited 8 coaches, 2 of whom were actively working the business in 10 days. If I can do that in 10 days under pressure, there's no reason why the next 10 days I can't do that. And the next 10 days after that, and the next 10 days after that. And there's, more importantly, no reason why anybody can't do it. And she specifically says, like, I'm nothing special. I am not, you know, the most beautiful person on the internet. I'm not the smartest. I'm not, you know, I had nothing special about me that made it easier for me to achieve diamond for my husband's account in 10 days than anybody else. So if you're sitting there and diamond feels so out of reach to you, it's just your mindset, because it's not that hard, but it will take massive action. And so that changed everything within her business. She was like, wait a minute, if I switch my mindset, like anybody can do this. And if I can do it in 10 days, then Susie can, and Rachel can, and Sarah, anybody can get to diamond in 10 days. And if they can get to diamond, then their coaches can get to diamond in 10 days. Like, I didn't do anything but take massive action. So if you're not hitting your goals and you're not achieving the things that you want to achieve, take a look at what you're putting in and what you're doing action wise. And I'm going to be, full disclosure, completely honest with you guys right now. So Ray comes to me and she's like, oh my God, I think I'm going to hit diamond. Want to know my first thought? Fuck. Like, I literally, no joke, I went to Mike and I'm like, oh my God, she's going to do it. Like, I don't know if I have everything in check to hold my 1-star. So Rachel hitting diamond means she had to have those 2 emeralds and those 3 active coaches, right? It's a huge accomplishment. And then on my end, I had to keep Ray diamond, and I had to also have 4 active coaches, personally sponsored, on each side, plus an emerald. So there was requirements for me too. And I kept saying to Mike, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this for 6 weeks. And he's like, well, you know, what are you worried about? I'm like, I'm not worried about Ray holding diamond. I know she's going to make it happen. I'm worried about me hitting 1-star. And he's like, well, why? I'm like, I don't know if I can keep my people active. Like, my girls kind of fluctuate in and out of active so much, and I don't think I can keep them active. And he's like, then go find new people that are going to be active. And it was like this. And I talked to Carrie Arena, one of my very good friends, who's 9-star diamond in Albany, New York, and one of the most successful coaches very quickly in this business. And she said the same thing. She goes, Kim, you never in this business put anything in anybody else's hands. Do not wait for those people to reorder, because they might tell you they're gonna and they might not. If you don't want to have to put it in somebody else's hands, you go and you get 5 new people every single day and you sign their asses up as active coaches, and you're covered. Because if you have 10 people, then you need 6 of them to go inactive to have a problem. And if the next day you add 2 more, then you don't have a problem, because you keep just adding. And I was like, she makes it sound so easy. I can't do that. I can't recruit that many coaches. Like, there's no freaking way. There's no way. Total panic. And then I just, you know what? I said, I'm going to freaking make this shit happen. And I put my head down and I grinded. Like, I'm telling you, I was exhausted at the end of that 6-week qualification. I checked my online office more than I've ever checked it in my entire life. Ray can probably attest to that, because I was like, hey, Ray, have you checked this? Have you checked this order? Have you looked at this? Like, I was all over that shit like white on rice, because I'm like, I'm not letting my team down. And it was like the first time that I hustled my ass off in this business. I was signing up, like, I would text Ray, I'd be like, just sign 2 more coaches. Just sign another coach today. Just sign another coach today. And she'd be like, yep, just sign another one. And Ray and I had the same conversation. I was like, listen, we're not going to bank on these people. We're going to keep getting more, and we're going to keep signing more. And she was like, yep, we are. And between her and I, it was like head down, blinders on, and we just hustled. And it's so funny, because I was going to bed one night and I said to Mike, I'm like, I signed 2 more coaches today. And he's like, shit, that's like 6 this week. And I'm like, I've never signed coaches like this before. And he's like, Kim, you've never worked this hard before. And it's like that light bulb moment where you do a gut check and you're like, holy crap, that's right. Like, and so we hit 1-star, and summer happened and life got busy, and I pulled back a little bit because I was stressed. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I want to watch some shows, because I didn't watch TV the last 6 weeks. And what happened? My rank started to fall, right? But not because it was hard, or not because I don't deserve to be or can't be a 1-star or 2-star or 3-star or 4-star diamond. It's because I stopped hustling. And for me, that's like a kind of like an anxiety provoking thing, but it's also like the best feeling in the world. Because what I really want to get you guys to see at the end of this call is that you are in control of your actions and your business. So if you want to be a 5-star diamond, there is no damn reason why you cannot be a 5-star diamond. It's going to take hard work, and it's going to take hustle, and it's going to take doing these things that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But there's no reason why you can't do it. I have this thing where I'll like say, I don't understand how the hell this girl is superstar diamond. Like, I don't get it. And honestly, guys, every single time what it comes down to is hard work and hustle. And it's, you know, getting out of your own head, stop making excuses, and just grinding. So massive action leads to massive, massive results. So back to kind of Holly's story. She talks about how she shifted her mindset. And, you know, she would say, like, if I'm not successful, how can I talk about coaching? And then she just found this belief, like I talked about, like, if I can do this, then anybody can do it, right? If I can build my business to diamond in 10 days, then anybody can do that. And then she said, when that belief changed, my messaging and my messages changed. I started talking about coaching all the time. I talk about coaching every single day. I do a story that talks about coaching and the opportunity every single day. She doesn't post about it every single day. She posts about it like 2 to 3 times a week. But every day in her stories, she talks something about coaching. And then and she said her mindset shifted from it no longer is if this business can work for somebody, but it's when this business will work for you. And that's the mindset shift. Like she says, when she's messaging somebody and she's saying, you know, oh, you know, you talk about how you hate your job and like you could literally kill it, girl. You could retire from your full-time job. She's like, when I'm messaging that, I'm not blowing smoke up their ass. I legitimately believe and know that they could leave their full-time job because of this opportunity. And I talk about it that way. I'm not like, hey girl, if you did this and if this, I say when you decide and you commit, you will succeed, period. That's it. And she talks about how like changing that communication and how you're talking to people, they can feel that, you know, they can hear that within your voice messages, or they can hear it in the tone of how you're messaging them. So having that belief, you have to find the belief. You have to shift your mindset yourself, and you have to put your head down. You have to hustle, and you have to show yourself that there's no reason why you can't do this. And then you have to show other people that. And then she's, you know, she kind of said, if for some reason you don't believe deep down that this business can not only work for you, but for anybody, that is your first hurdle that you must overcome to recruit to coaching. Like if you're sitting there right now and you're like, I think coaching's cool, I think it's fun, but I don't think it's going to do a damn thing for my life. Guess what? You're not going to recruit a coach that's going to kick ass on your team and make shit happen. That's it. You know, I didn't recruit any of you guys until I decided myself, like, if this person, then why not me? And, you know, I saw the people at Summit and I started to become friends with top coaches, and I was like, shit, look at their house. You know, whatever it was, I found the belief. And that's when I found you guys. But before that belief, like I'd be talking to friends, I'd be like, you should coach for the discount. And it didn't feel right because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about because I didn't believe it myself. I was still trying to figure out why the hell I was a coach. So that's step one, is you need to figure it out and you need to get past that hurdle. You need to find that belief yourself, because you can't expect other people to come into this business and kick ass and have the belief if you don't have it yourself, if you're the person leading them. So now she talks about coaching every single day, and she says, what do I talk about? There's 3 categories that she talks about, and she always tells her girls this. You talk about past, present, and future. So the past is like, why did you start? You know, what made you take the leap of faith? So that might be, I was struggling with my weight and I couldn't afford Shakeology, and this is where I was. Okay, so that's the past. The present is, this is, what are you doing right now? Where are you right now? I think this is where a lot of new coaches struggle, is like sharing the present in a way that is appealing to other people to want to start coaching and to want to join. Cause it's like, well, I don't have millions of dollars. You know, I don't have a big team, right? Like I went to Summit by myself and I didn't have this big group picture. I didn't go on a team retreat because I didn't qualify. My paycheck was $20, like whatever that might look like. But she stressed, and this is something I always try to stress to you guys. And if I haven't, I'm sorry, I haven't done a good enough job. We are a unit. We are a team. So there is always something in a day, in the present today, that you can share. Here's examples. Go into our challenge group. I don't care if it's a post from like 6 months ago and you were inspired by it, or somebody shared their transformation. Like my friend Christine just posted something 2 days ago, I think. And it was a side-by-side talking about how she was afraid to share it, but like she herself let herself go. One of the best posts I've seen in that group. Super inspiring. Screenshot it, cross off her name and her picture so that nobody's, you know, embarrassed and their stuff's like public, and share it. I don't care that you might not know Christine. I don't care that she might not be your challenger. You know, like there's times where I see one of Caitlin's girls and I'm like, whoa, this is freaking awesome. Or I'll see it in Caitlin's story and I'll screenshot Caitlin's story and I'll share that. And I'm like, look at our girls. Our girls are killing it. Every single person in that challenge group is in that challenge group because they're a part of us, a part of our team. So whether I put her there or Ray put her there or Sarah put her there or Caitlin or Nicole, whoever put her there, she's still there and part of us. So you have every right to share that. Post it, story it, talk about it. Okay, so there's an example of the present. Rank advancement day. If you see on my stories, or if you see me post in our team page, or you see somewhere that somebody rank advanced, like when Ray went diamonds, I'm so proud of our girl, right? And you share the shit out of that. Because there's somebody out there watching your stories that gives a crap and wants their name on that Canva with the diamond, right? So you can share that. You can get up and say, it's payday and rank advancement day. Here's a couple of rank advancements on our team or on my team. They don't have to know that Rachel's not your personally sponsored coach, because it doesn't matter. Because what you woke up and did the last however many weeks motivated Ray in some way. We're all intermingled. What I do affects Ray, affects Caitlin, affects Sarah, affects Nicole. Every single thing that we do affects each other. We're intertwined. So if somebody rank advance, it's because of what we did as a team. So you share that. That's another piece of the present. Thursday, it's payday. Maybe you share that you got paid $40, and with that $40, you went and you bought your kid some new sneakers. And if you didn't have that paycheck, your kid wouldn't have gotten new sneakers. And I get really passionate about this because, you know, Holly talked about, like, you have to connect people to the emotional side of things. Flashing dollar signs at people and flashing money at people doesn't mean crap. And more importantly, if you today shared nothing, okay, and then 2 years from now, you show up on social media, you didn't talk about coaching at all, you didn't talk about a dime you made, you shared nothing, but 2 years from now, you're in the Millionaire Club and you made $1 million with Beachbody and you post about it. Nobody gives a shit. It's too big. People don't relate to big. They relate to small. So it's too big. They can't connect with it. And they weren't on the ride with you. They want to watch you. They want to see every step of your journey to success and cheer you on. And it might not feel that way because you're like, that bitch on Instagram wants me to fall on my face. And I know you probably feel like that. But people out there are rooting for you to succeed. But they want to go on the journey with you. So they want to see the $40 check that you got. And then the next week, they want to see the $150 check that you got, that you were able to go and, you know, pay something off with. And then when they see you start to make $1,000, they want to see that. They want to be on the road, on the path with you and on the journey with you. But most importantly, they need emotional attachment to it. So if I get up and I'm like, today I made $400 with Beachbody, that's it. Nobody gives a shit. It looks like I'm bragging and boasting and they don't care. But if I get up and I'm like, today I made $400 with Beachbody and that helped to pay my car payment, that if it was just my husband's income, or I wasn't contributing, or, whatever, it would have been a struggle for us to make that. That's what people care about, because people connect and relate to emotional things. You have to pull from people's struggles. So when you're sharing that you made $40, connect to that emotionally. She gave a really good example, and I'll share this quick. I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk fast. But real fast, back to that whole rank advancement and sharing what other people are doing. She said, the people succeeding on this team are succeeding because of the resources that you have to give to your new coaches as well. And that's important, because so many people will say to me, like, I don't know how to coach coaches. I don't know. I can't have a team. I don't know what the hell to teach them, but I do. And Shauna does, and Annie does. And if Annie doesn't, Pat does. And if Pat doesn't, his mom or dad probably do. So our team, guys, is massive. So, and we have Ashley Feldyson, who's in 15-star superstar diamond qualification. We have Pat Reelman, who's 10-star. We have Kate Schultz. We have all these resources that they have used to be that successful, that we have access to, because they're our team and they want us to succeed. Because again, we're all intermingled. So you do have the tools, and you do have the resources, and you do have the ability to coach coaches, even though you might not know what the hell you're doing yet. We do. Somebody does. Somebody somewhere does. And we have those connections. Okay. So, and then this is just a little side note that I'm going to say, because she kind of sporadically threw it out there and I have it written in my notes. When you're posting, when you're storying, and you're sharing your present, always try to combat objections publicly when you're doing so. So if you have a video of you, like Beck is really great at this, when she's like working out with 10 kids on her, posting about that, sharing that, posting and sharing the emotional connection that people can relate to, it's also squashing an objection. Because it's like, for all you people out there that message me that you can't do this because you're busy and you have a ton of kids, well, guess what? Look at me. So with your stories and with your posts, when you're sharing your present, always look at it at the angle of, am I squashing objections in this as well? Okay. She said, doesn't matter. It's too big. It doesn't resonate with them. The small things, that's what resonates with people. Take them on the journey with you. Connect your financial goal to something emotional, like I said. And also, most importantly, know who you're talking to. Know your avatar, know your niche, know who your followers are that you connect to and relate to. For me, it's typically moms or women going through in vitro fertilization, and or people that work in the group fitness / personal trainer field. That's typically who I connect to. Ray's market is very heavy on dental hygiene, dental hygienists that are freaking tired as hell at the end of their shift. Their body hurts all over and they don't want to do it anymore. So your market, you need to figure out what your niche is, what your avatar is, and then you need to share and post accordingly. You have to pull their emotions, right? So she kind of shares how, like, she was talking about when she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and she wanted to retire from her job. Her avatar happens to be moms that want to be stay-at-home moms. Now, if she's a woman who doesn't want to stay at home and very much wants to be a working mom, and her avatar is moms that want to be working moms that have zero desire to be stay-at-home moms, because trust me, those exist. She's not going to go on her posts and her stories every day and talk about becoming a stay-at-home mom, because it's not going to connect emotionally to her tribe. Does that make sense? So what else? Okay. And then she talked a lot about, and I think this is hopefully going to hit home on sharing the emotional connection, but she talked a lot about when she was working to retire herself and then working to retire her husband. And she says, like, I could share the money that I was making that I needed to make to retire my husband. I could share where I was at in my business and where I needed to be to retire my husband. But she talked a lot about how her goal and why she wanted to retire her husband was because he had a job, I think it was military, where they were required to travel all the time. They lived in 8 different homes in a year. And she grew up that way. Her dad had a job similar where she says when people say, Holly, where are you from? She's like, I'm not really from anywhere because I literally moved my whole life. I never had a home state or a home city. I'm not from anywhere. I was from a suitcase. And so that's why she wanted to retire her husband. That's the emotional connection. So when she would share, like, if I made this much money this month in Beachbody, if I can make this much more, I'm that much closer to retiring my husband. And this is why that matters. And then when she did it, when she retired her husband, she didn't just go on and be like, I retired my husband. Yay. Nobody cares. It looks like you're bragging, right? She went on and she took a picture of her sitting by the pool and she was like, I retired my husband. And because of that, this is home. And I'm sitting by a pool that's my pool. And I never had that growing up. And this pool is going to be where I'm going to get to have my 3-year-old's birthday party. It's going to be a pool party. And the last 2 birthday parties that I've thrown for him have been out of suitcases and have been at some random location because we didn't have a home. This is the first birthday party we can celebrate my son's birthday at our home, at our pool party. So that's the emotional connection. People need to be able to relate to you because that's ultimately what's going to make them say, I want to do that. Like I watched, and here's the other thing. If Holly didn't share any of that on her stories, on her posts, if she never talked about it, never talked about coaching as an opportunity and what it was hopefully going to do for her and her family. And then all of a sudden she takes that picture by the pool and she's like, hey, look, here we are. We worked really hard to retire my husband and now we have a pool. Nobody's going to care because she didn't take them on the journey with her and they don't know the hard work. They didn't get to watch the journey and they just feel it's too big. It's like point A to point B feels too impossible. But if they're watching Holly every single day and she's sharing little slow increments of success, that's achievable to your average person. There's not a lot of people that are like, okay, so this bitch was like making no money and now she's a millionaire. Like 2 days ago, she was broke. That's too big. Hopefully that makes sense. So, and then back to, past, present, future. The future, when you talk about the future and recruiting to coaching, like talk about where are you going? What are your goals? What is it that you hope to get out of this business? What is it that you hope to achieve? Because again, that's what people want to see. Okay. So, and this is the other thing. Don't make all big, hairy, scary goals and not little ones that you actually know you're going to hit and achieve. Because if you're always talking about like, if I start tomorrow saying, you know what, I decided I want to be a 15 superstar diamond. I want to be a superstar diamond and I'm going to do it by the end of this year. That's obviously extremely impossible, right? I know we're going on the mindset of like anybody can do anything, but that's ridiculously impossible. But if I share that goal, like my goal is to be a superstar diamond, people are waiting and waiting and waiting for that announcement. They're like, she's still going, but she still hasn't announced she's that superstar diamond, whatever the hell that means. Nobody knows what it means. Like my goal is to be a diamond coach, right? Nobody knows what that means, but they want to see you hit it. They want to see your damn face on that canvas saying you're a diamond coach. And when they see that happen, they're like, oh shit, she said she was going to do that and she did it. So it must be something. It must be a big deal, right? So where are you going? What are your goals? Talk about your goals, set your intentions, and then take them on the journey with you so that they can see you succeed. Because if it looks like you're never having success, they're not going to want to join you. So find ways to share your successes, past, present, and future. All right, I think that's most of, let me see if there's anything else that I wrote down. Paint the vision in all different ways, she said, which I loved. Multiple angles, talk on topics from so many different angles, and just share everything. Even if you think it feels stupid to you, if you look at it as a success or a win or a goal that you achieved, like, I don't care if you made freaking $20. If that helped you in some way, share it. And you don't have to do a post about it and be like, I made $20 today and post it on your actual page. But every single day, she says, every day I find a way in my stories to talk about coaching, past, present, or future, whatever that looks like that day. But every day I find a way. And here's the other thing, guys. Melanie Mitro, Holly Hillier, Ashley Molstead, all these coaches, Ashley Feld-Dyson, they're constantly sharing successes within this business on their posts. Big deals. Take their posts, put it in your story. Like that feature on Instagram is huge. Take Melanie's post where she's talking about how successful she's been in this business and whatever, and drop it in your story. Because there's going to be a crap ton of your followers that are intrigued enough to click on it and read it. And no, Melanie's not on our team, and Ashley Feld-Dyson technically is, but my point is they just want to see people succeed, and they don't have a clue if Melanie Mitro is your coach. They don't have a damn clue. You know, like I share sometimes Carrie Arena's success, and I'm like, I'm so damn proud of my girl because she's my girl, but she's not my coach, and I didn't personally sponsor her, but I celebrate her successes and I cheer her on, and nobody on my feed that's not in the Beachbody world has any freaking clue if she's my girl, my coach, or not, right? Talk about coaching every single day in your stories. Post 1 to 2 times a week. Stories allow you to share your emotions. So if you're talking in your stories, you know, don't just always do sharing somebody else's posts or screenshotting something. Talk about it, because people can hear in your voice and they can feel from you the emotional connection. And that all goes back to that whole thing. This is one last thing. She said, do a gut check and ask yourself, like, how often do I really talk about coaching? And this is something I need to do way the F better on. Like, I'm just full disclosure, gut check, I'm there. I have to talk about coaching more. I was in a state where it's funny because when I needed to recruit coaches, when Ray was going for Diamond and I was going for 1-star, I talked about coaching it was like every post I did somehow trickled back to coaching. Somehow it always led back to it because that's where I was driven and what I was focused on at that time. And then I got away from it. And I probably haven't posted about coaching since then. I mean, I'm sure I have, but not as much as I had been. So every now and again, do a gut check with yourself. Like, what are my goals? What am I trying to achieve? And if I were watching my stories and I were looking at my posts, would I want to do this? Like, what was it that made me want to become a coach? You know, what did I see that Caitlin posted, or what did I see that Kim posted, or what did I see that Nicole posted that got me to say, like, yeah, I'm intrigued by that. Always go back to that and have a gut check with yourself and say, if I were watching my stories every day, would I even know I was a coach? You know, like, am I making it blatantly obvious that I'm a coach and I'm damn proud of it and it's changed my life? Probably not. And if you're not, if like people, and this sounds bad, guys, but people are stupid. Okay. People are really, really stupid. And you need to like write shit out for them and like lay it all out there. Nobody's going to read between the lines with this stuff. So if you want people to want to coach, you need to make them want to coach. So like sitting there and being like, yeah, so I became a coach. It's been pretty cool. Like nobody's going to watch that and be like, sign me up. But if you're sitting in your stories and you're like, dude, today was freaking awesome. I went to a live event. It was like crazy. The community, it does not have to all be financial. Talk about the community. Talk about the rank and recognition. Like, I think it was Becky Van Duzen, who she was a coach for maybe a month. And I recognized her for, it was when she hit Success Starter. So she had been a coach 3 months. I recognized her for it. And she was like, oh my God, this is the first time in my working life that I've ever been recognized. That was huge for her. And she did a post about it and she shared, like, she did stories and she did a poll. I remember it because it was like, how many of you get recognized at your 9-to-5 job for doing good, for being a hard worker? Like, and she actually made a joke of it. She was like, all I got for recognition at my real job today was a parking ticket. Like, I don't ever get recognized at my full-time job. And I've been doing this not even 3 months, and now I'm getting recognized. And I'm in this page getting recognized, and I have this Canva to recognize me. That was huge for her. And that spoke to a lot of her followers because that's her tribe. So share it all. Share the community and what that has done for you. Talk about it. Talk about it in your stories. Share about it in your posts. And then the last thing, I'm so sorry, I'm like talking way too much. But the last thing is she talked about coach sneak peeks and, you know, how often she runs them. And essentially what she does once a week is she uses the question feature in Instagram, and she does like her own little coach sneak peek within Instagram. So I didn't know this, but if you do the question feature where you can say like, ask me anything. She'll like drop a question and be like, ask me anything today you want about coaching. Right. And then she actually said you can go back and you can answer your own question, or you can ask your own question. So like you can type a question to yourself and then answer it. So if you guys are like, I don't ever do that question shit because nobody asks me anything, that's what you have us for. Like Ray did this, I think last week or the week before. She was like, hey guys, when you get a chance, can you go drop a question in my stories so that I can, you know, answer it and address common myths or whatever about coaching. So we all went and dropped questions in for her to share. You can literally ask yourself a question. And she's like, and you can keep going back. Like, she's like, I wasn't getting any questions on this one thing, and I really wanted somebody to ask this question. So I asked it myself, and then I answered it myself. So basically her stories that day were a sneak peek into coaching, right? Because she talked every question that she planted, she would do a story or a couple of stories answering the question. So instead of saying like, I want you to join my sneak peek and it's going to be this day at this time, and then your followers just fall into a sneak peek where you get to talk extensively about coaching and you're basically recruiting them to it. So that's really all I wanted. You know I talked for a while tonight, and I'm sorry I went over, but you know, it all comes down to belief and figuring out what in this business, how you need to find that belief and instill it within you so that you're just like spewing it to everybody else. And then it's just massive action. It's more invites, it's more follow-ups, it's more calls. You know, it's just 10xing every single thing that you're doing so that everything you do is just bigger. And if nothing more, at the end of the day, guys, go back to what it is about coaching that you want. Okay. If it's, you really want that team picture at Summit with all your girls wearing your team name across their chests in tank tops, then you need to stay focused on that and say, like, if I do this, there's no way next year at Summit I'm going to have a tribe of girls that are there with me because that's my team. Like, that's the team that I built. Those are my girls. It's not going to happen if you invite 3 people every day, they say no, and you just say, screw it. But if you invite 1,000 people a week and you just keep following up and you keep pushing because you're focused on that goal and that why, and you know it's going to take massive action, and so you just do it, then you'll get to that goal. So is it community? Is it the rank? Do you want to cross the stage at Summit next year? Is that your goal? Because I know that was huge for me. I was like, I want to cross that damn stage. I looked at Ray in the stands 2 summits ago. I was like, I'm going to cross that damn stage. So figure out what it is: rank, community, financial, accountability, whatever it looks like for you.
One thing that I kind of like, I don't really know when it clicked for me, but it was like it's like when you listen to coaches on like the National Wake Up Call, they always talk about like how they got started as a coach. And
yep.
One recently, the girl said, like, you know, and it seems like all coaches say this, like, my coach invited me like some crazy absurd number of times before I finally said yes. And so that just like makes me not as scared, because like I'll always like send coaching invites and then they say no, and then I just leave it, and I'm just like, or they don't answer me, and I'm just like, okay, well, they don't want to coach. And so now I've been going back and like, even if I'd be like, I know you said no before, but you know, I know you were interested before, but things change. So,
and sometimes it's really just them looking to see what you do. Like, they're waiting to see, is she successful? Is she achieving goals, or is she giving up? Like, a lot of the time they're just watching, like, well, I'm not going to join. But then when they see you 6 months down the road and they're like, shit, she's still doing this thing. Like, they're more likely to join you. And sometimes people just need that time. Or sometimes it's like, you think of the example with Kate Schultz and how many times she said no to Ashley. And then she said one day she was watching Ashley's story, and whatever Ashley said, she doesn't even remember it, but something just triggered her to be like, I'm going to message her and I'm going to just do it. So the biggest thing is like consistency builds trust. And I say that all the time. The more consistent you are with your actions, the more trust that you're going to build within your followers. And when they see you, you just keep showing the F up and they're like, God, she's still doing this thing. Like, it's going to build trust within them. And like Ray said, you know, I can attest to myself, and I know Ray can attest to this too. I said no to Shauna and Jen and Michelle for years. I was literally buying every single program that came out. And I was like, no. Even when I signed up for the discount, I was like, don't you dare announce me as a coach and put my name on that shit. I won't have it. Like, no joke, I was so against this. And it took me a long time to like come around, because I had to figure out what it was for me that I wanted out of it. And I had to figure out what was going to motivate me and what, you know, my why was and what my goals were. So a lot of times it's just like Ray said, like having that mindset of, you know, just because somebody tells you no, it doesn't mean no. It just means not right now. You know, if a girl tells you I don't want to coach, she might be your best coach one day. You know, I mean, Ray told me multiple times, she was like, sign up my mom, sign up my friends. Like, here you go, Kim. And I was like, you should do this. And she was like, nah, I don't know. And then she figured it out. And I just kept kind of, you know, touching base and following up and instilling that belief within her that I had within, like, I believed in her. I just needed her to figure that out too. You know, and that's true for a lot of you guys. Some of you, though, were just like random that just decided, like Nick and Sarah, who just out of nowhere were like, let's do this. This will be great. But 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. I have one of my best friends uses Beachbody products religiously. She comes over and works out with me like once a week, and she knows how successful I've been. She knows what I'm doing with the business, and she still says no to coaching. And I ask her every week, I'm like, you know what? You're an idiot. And I'll show her my genealogy and I'm like, you could be here. You're a fool. And she's just not interested, and it's okay. But I still bring it up every single week. So I know I went over a little bit, guys, but I hope that was helpful. I think that a lot of us are at places in our business where we are getting to that burnout stage. And I know for me, money is a motivator. And so when I log into my account and I still see that I got a good paycheck, even though I maybe didn't have the biggest week in terms of sales or commissions or Success Club numbers, it keeps me driving and pushing and moving forward. Versus if I log in and I'm like, crap, I literally have a $0 paycheck from Beachbody. I got nothing. That's so demotivating. So, and maybe that's not it. Maybe you don't care about the money. Maybe it's that you care about the community and you care about having team calls. And you care to figure out what it is and then push for that. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer any of them, or hopefully this was helpful. I can finally see your guys' faces. I was looking at a whole lot of black screens for a long time. Like, I am just sitting here talking to myself, but I'm going to pray to Jesus that they're listening.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Was it?
You're going to post the recording so I could send it out?
I am, yes. And I also am going to send you guys the initial call with Holly, because I think there's a lot. She talks at the end, and maybe we could talk about this one week, but she talks at the end about objections and handling them and kind of relating it to recruiting the coaches, kind of how I touched on just a little bit, where I was saying, you know, squashing their objections while you're recruiting. So I'll post that too. I'll share that with you guys, because she did a really, really great job.
It was a good call.
Yeah. Did you watch it, Ray?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Good, right?
I thought about like it being one of the ones I go back and re-listen to.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I was like taking pages and pages and pages of notes. And it's just funny because, like I said, Shauna, you know, 3 years ago, she reached out to Shauna and was like, hey, I want to be a coach. I want to be successful, like, fast. Do you have any advice for me? And Shauna was last Monday, it was just her and I on the team call. And she was like, it's crazy to me. Like, she reached out to me And, you know, now look where she is. She's a huge name and she's had so much success, and it's pretty cool because it just goes to show you that anybody can be successful within this business. And she didn't have a clue how to do it. She just figured it out as she went, and she set her intentions, and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty motivating, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys, I'm going to
Thank
stop
you.
recording. Yeah, thank you for jumping on.